Ah, yes. Confusion when you have more than one worker running and you don't know what you set them off to do. The sprayer is now on. Ah, that would be fair. Yeah, I guess testers do. It's a good thing to acknowledge the testers. They do a good job. At least you assume they do a good job. Since I work in IT, I have a lot of interaction with people who test things. How much have we got? Almost 3 carloads. Well, that's... Oh, that'll be interesting. Oh, before we do that, I need to do this. Yeah. Exactly. Where the heck am I? Oh, I'm over here. Okay. Let's just pull you on the field, set you off. How are we doing on lime? More than enough. You can just sit there for now. Must admit, with this cold, I really don't feel like driving, but I've got to get something done. So, ooh. Green tracks is going to end up down here. Oh, I can dance around the field. Yeah, it's... The bestest of times is when testers are invisible. Nothing happens and nothing goes. The worst is tests happen, people say, yeah, everything tested out fine, and then it all blows up when it goes into production. Testers finding problems and coming back to you, that's a good thing. Testers finding no problems means you did a really good job. And if nothing blows up in production, then so did they. I have seen that. Now, in previous versions of Farming Simulator, you could have multiple planting seasons and multiple harvest seasons for a single crop, which meant that wheat was wheat, but you could plant it in the spring or you could plant it in the fall. I am assuming Giants has changed the crop calendar for 25, so you're not allowed to have more than one planting or harvesting season for any single crop. So you have to basically clone wheat, so you have winter wheat and spring wheat, whatever. Summer wheat. That can be annoying. I still miss the old there was a mod in 17 and 19 that locked switching seed type in a seeder, and the mod also then included seed for, you know, wheat seed, barley seed, canola seed, etc., etc. So you had to buy the specific seeds that you wanted to plant, stick it in the planter, and when you were done planting that seed, you would have to unload the planter and put a different type of seed in. It wasn't, oh, generic seed, you can plant anything you want to with it. And I liked those mods. And unfortunately, I think 1921, it didn't work anymore. So the modder did do individual packs of seed, but he had to mod all of the in-game planters and seeders so that they worked with the multiple seed types he created. And it was just, you know, none of the mod seeders were modded that way. And it was unfortunate because it made it more realistic. Yeah, seeds are seeds. And he also, because of the way he did it, you were allowed to unload potatoes from a potato planter, but they unloaded as seed potatoes, not as potatoes. So you couldn't just stick seed potatoes in a seeder and then unload it to make potatoes and just sell them without planting them. But, that would be interesting. It would have, I think, in that event, it would have been nice if, what was the... Was it the Vredo pack that has overseeding and stuff like that? I haven't got that pack. But it would have been nice if that sort of thing had been included there. Oh, somebody wants to be banned. Okay. Let me handle that. Submit report. Block this user. Go by. And we're driving off the road. But still, while we lose in some avenues, we gain in others. I did... yeah, the message is there, but he's been reported. His account will be shut down when they get around to it. There was... what was it? Right at the beginning of Farm Sim 25, there was a liquid lime mod, which I thought, hey, that looks really good. And then it doesn't play with precision farming at all. So I thought, well, that's a bit sad. So I couldn't use it. But probably about a month ago, somebody put out a sprayers can spread lime. So it allowed you to load lime into a sprayer and spread lime. So it wasn't a new liquid lime is a new product. It was just you're using lime, but you could load it into a sprayer. That I've tested, that does work with precision farming. And since I'm predominantly a spraying guy, I don't do a lot of spreading. Unless it's this stuff. I kind of may use that in my next farm is liquid lime. This one, The problem with this farm is there is nowhere to sell rocks. So I ended up, I'll just have a lime production facility and put the rocks there. Yes. Yeah, if you can do a thing and not mess with the product, then it's much easier to sort of implement into everything else that's there. So, like you were saying earlier, you're looking at adding winter wheat and summer wheat. The problem is that's two new product types that you then have to modify the entire world for in order for them to be able to be put in wagons and run through bakeries or whatever. Whereas if you can just, this is summer wheat and it produces wheat when I harvest it from a field, and this is winter wheat and it produces wheat when I harvest it from a field. If the final product is the same, then there is no mods elsewhere. Adding things like alfalfa and spelt and triticale and rye, they're not a product that exists in game, so you've now got to modify things so that things will pick them up. Or I presume there's a classification so you can say this is a grain. So, if a cart can carry grain, it can carry all of these new types of grain. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, I must admit, I'm not exploring much of this map when it comes to stuff like that. I think alfalfa got added to it. I haven't planted any of that. But this farm is a corn, soybean, and cotton farm. Cotton because it's in America and it's probably the only chance I get to do the cotton achievement in Farming Simulator. But it's like I plant cotton I plant corn and soybeans when it comes to main crops. So winter wheat, winter barley, winter oats. Ooh, nice. Spelt, clover. Oh, right, yes. Planting cotton, sorghum, sunflowers are lovely. New crops added to animal feeding and that's that's a good thing. Now, what was it? You got corn in there. Because one of the things a lot of the time when I go and play a map, I will Google the agriculture in the area, just so that I'm generally planting the realistic crops. I've thrown my little notes away for Alma, Missouri, but I did have a list of this is generally what this region plants. And occasionally what I'll do is I've planted barley, although it's way down the list of common crops for Missouri because I need it for my pigs. But outside of that, I'm not really planting that sort of thing. And same with oats. Oats I don't think are planted at all in Missouri, but I have horses and they like oats. So every so often I'll plant a very small field of oats just for the horses. And the soybeans, this map was modified so soybeans produce straw. So I don't have to go outside of soybeans to make straw for the animals. But yeah, when I played Lawfolds back in Farm Sim 17, corn is not a thing that is grown in Scotland for generally obvious reasons. So I completely avoided planting corn at all. I think about 50% of my fields were always barley because, well, Scotsmen like their barley. So I did that, and then it was probably about a year in, and I decided I probably should do pigs just to round off the Farm Sim 17 achievements before 19 comes out. And I was reading some agricultural periodical, and it was saying there are 2 farms in Scotland that are trying out a special breed of corn. So at that point I said, well, one of those farms is mine, and I'm going to grow a small patch of corn so I can keep my pigs fed. But I'd been quite religious on what crops to plant in Scotland and what animals to have in Scotland, etc., etc. And since then, that was when I started playing Farming Simulator. Since then, I've generally gone on to, I will find a map that inspires me that generally I haven't played before, and I will research the region as far as agriculture goes, just to see what grows there. So, as you say, your AI won't plant cotton, sorghum, sunflowers, and long grain rice. How about sugarcane? Just a suggestion. Because the sugarcane's another one I do not plant. Ah. Oh, it is. Oh. I did not realise that. Actually, I discovered, with all the talk about global warming, I've been, I listen to the occasional, oh, we got up to 30,000, magic. I listen to the occasional podcast, and it's the hot temperatures in England, and it's like unbearable and no air conditioning, etc., etc. And they were saying, actually, England is not as hot as it has ever been. Back in medieval times, England was much hotter than it is today. So much so that they used to grow grapes everywhere. Grapes are much rarer, if grown at all. Just in the, if they are grown, it's in the south. But I think most of them got replaced by apples. But yeah, it's temperatures fluctuate. Climate changes. There's not a lot we do about it. Back in the 70s, they were talking about global cooling, and maybe we need to spread salt all over the Arctic ice to cause it to melt so that it, the Earth would warm up, or some ridiculous suggestion like that. But and then in the 80s, it all got into, well, actually, it looks like the temperatures are increasing again. So, it is what it is. But it's interesting to hear. I'm more interested in history than I am in stuff. Okay, well, but the thing was they did grow grapes back in the days, and they don't generally grow grapes today. Grapes migrated south to France, California. It's getting a little bit dark, so I wonder how much more the lime spreader has to go. I might will deliver this load of manure. That's actually good. We got all the manure from the other farm. I was thinking I was going to have to top it off with a little bit of manure from the main yard. We'll take this back to the main yard. I think I'll plant it up. We'll take a look at how the lime spreader's doing, and then we'll sleep for the night so that it's daytime when we're doing this. You could admire the wispy clouds, and the sun has already set, but it's not dark yet. Right. Indeed. Yeah, it's kind of like all this palaver going on with, what is it, US birthright citizenship and such. And, you know, back when the US was founded, you couldn't fly into the country, have a baby, and fly home the next day and claim your baby was American. You had to travel on a boat for weeks, months at a time before you got here. And traveling pregnant in those days was probably a really bad idea. I know. I've been watching. Obviously, we get Clarkson's farm over here, and in spite of the fact, I mean, I think his first year, the fields got flooded, and the latest season was just a drought, and nothing grew. Outside of that, the British government is not farm friendly. They seem to be the sort of people who believe, yeah, why do we need farmers? We just go down to the grocery store and the food's there. And there are a lot of uneducated people who don't understand that, well, actually your food started out growing out of the ground and either being eaten by animals or growing out of the ground and getting harvested.